Okay. All right. Hello again to anyone watching these Kaijudo videos. Today, I'm here with a round two match between Andross and Loui, and joining me is, of course, once again Andross himself to walk us through his thought process on this match. How you doing?
I'm doing great. The knowledge that I'm uh clearly the somethingest dragon player in the whole world is so heartwarming to me. I guess I shouldn't say what I mean there because I don't want to spoil it, but uh yeah. I'm doing great.
Should be interesting. This is one of the matchups when we were doing our deck discussion that we were really unsure how it would go. I think there's a lot of question marks, and I know it's one of the matchups you were probably most scared of in the bracket. Is that that pretty much sums it up, eh?
Yeah, definitely. This is probably the one deck that I felt like had the definitely the best potential to just go toe to toe with mine. I mean, sure, some of the other decks could maybe go a little over me or a little under me or whatever, but okay, maybe I don't know if anybody could really go over me, but there were definitely some decks that could go under me
Mm-hmm.
that were,
At least
gonna
not.
have to get some good breaks. But yeah,
Yeah.
this one definitely was some potential to just outplay me, and yeah, I was always all excited about doing some play testing and everything, get all revved up for the matchup. I didn't do any of that, but I
Yeah.
was really wanting to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I think sometimes you just run out of time or just don't get around to it. But yeah. So obviously you're on the Oathsworn Dragons. So just light water fire core isles to set your Oathsworn calls. The Oathsworn calls themselves, and then some of like the more tempo, I guess, featured creatures like Finbar and Keeper of Laws that you see as like kind of anti-control or pile tools. And then Louis is of course on a much different approach where he's just gone 4 civ, a bunch of extra birds, logo scans, none of those like Finbar type cards, right? It's just pure dragon. So really interesting. I think like the theory was kind of his deck might be more inconsistent, being like 4 civ, 43 cards, but I don't even know if that's the case to be honest. Like he's got 9 birds and 3 logo scan, which just adds a ton of extra early plays, which is part of like the clunky inconsistency that comes about with the dragon deck in the first place, is just like not having early plays. So I don't even know how accurate it is to say it's inconsistent. I guess it's probably, yeah, even with the logo scans, it's still like less likely to see a herald, I suppose.
Yeah, that's I guess that would be my supposition with that. It'd be a little bit less high roll consistent, but like maybe slightly more consistent in terms of just normal
Mm-hmm.
plays.
Yeah, I
The
guess
plays
so.
that don't necessarily win you the game as a dragon player, but the plays that might keep you in a game when you don't high roll.
Mm-hmm. There's like,
Like there's definitely a
yeah.
lot more chance for my deck to just not be able to do anything in the early game.
Yeah, I think
And
so. Because like even with being 4 civ, it's not like he's unbalanced on his counts. Like he'll be able to pretty consistently cast his Lux or Umbra if he has it. He is, I
mhm.
think. I mean, he's not even. Yeah, like he's got consistent mana counts, so there can be some clunkiness, but I don't think it's that bad, or that much of an issue. And there's a lot of weird, like it's just really hard for me to kind of theorize how this matchup really plays out because there's so many different things like to consider. Obviously, there's like the dynamics of like more early plays versus less. There's the dynamic of his deck having like hard answers like Terror Pit if the game goes long or he has to deal with an Infernus, whereas your deck doesn't really have any great hard answers to Infernus, especially since you cut the Storm Sparks for Arbiters. So all your interaction being, or most of it being creature based, makes that kind of tricky. But then at the same time, in those longer games, you have 3 Andromeda to his 1, which I think is a big deal. Your deck is a lot more resilient to like beat down draws, I guess, if he wants to just go bird bird and start beating down if he gets an early advantage. With the Oathsworn calls and arbiters and things like that, it's much easier for you to kind of, I guess, suffer or play through those aggro hands and maybe come back. Whereas your deck is more positioned to maybe capitalize on a good start against him, where you can just drop a Finbar, delay his Herald, and then steamroll advantage because he doesn't have those Oathsworn calls or jump jets or anything like that. So for me, it's really hard to like. Usually, I can do a decent job, kind of theory crafting how a matchup is gonna play out, but there's just a lot of things up in the air for me, and I'm sure for you as well, and that's why it'll be interesting to see how these
Yeah,
games play out.
I think if we played 10 more games, I don't think too many of them would end up the way these two ended up either. Just okay, the first one is probably pretty standard in some respects, but the second one was wild. So
Hmm.
I would just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and I think despite all the differences, a lot of it's gonna come down to like if you just win the die roll, go first, and have like bird into herald or double bird lyra or like some of these nice draws. If you're just going first with them, I think that's the main thing going on. A lot of like the secondary cards or a lot of those sub themes or whatever you want to call them, those kind of come second to that dynamic. So yeah, I think that's ultimately what's probably going to be the most important factor. But we can jump into the games if you're ready.
I'm ready
Uh,
whenever you are.
sure, I'll give a little countdown and we'll go from there. So game one, uh, we'll start in three, two, one. So so it looks like Loui won the die roll. Hey, so he goes first.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so that's good for him, and he's got three birds in his hand, which is
Lots of
also nice.
birds.
Yeah, and then your hand looking a little less good. Obviously, the Herald of Infernus, we're just missing the art for that, but not an issue there.
Yeah, the kind of weird thing about his hand is that he doesn't have great things to like charge to play his birds, oddly enough. Like, oh, hey,
Yeah,
I could charge Andro to play Lux. Wait.
yeah.
Uh,
Maybe you think about charging the Nyx there to play the
Umbra,
Umbra,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
that
kind
was
of
definitely.
yeah, it's kind of a tough call though. It's his one Andro, and then if you want
Hmm.
to play the Lux or second bird, you're gonna have to charge it anyways. So maybe this I feel like you can maybe speculate and just like wait a turn to make that decision, but then you'd rather play the Nyx than an Umbra if you draw. It's kind of complicated, I guess. But I guess this is the problem with it when you're spreading over four colors is exactly this issue where you're sort of missing the mana for Herald and Birds, but maybe this is also just a hard draw or a bad draw. It's kind of tough to make that distinction. Uh, so it looks like, are you going to go for a Core Isle line here, or are you going to just.
Believe that is what I go for, yes.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't draw any birds, obviously, and I don't know. I did have the Herald, so I knew I saw he didn't have fire unlocked. That was part of the reason I didn't feel as bad dropping the core isle.
Yeah, he's low on
I didn't
cards.
obviously didn't know he had a Herald in hand, but he has yet to still draw another fire source for that.
Yeah, because he's missing the tap effect as well, and like he's low on cards, so it's not like he can just easily assemble the combos of like tap effect plus dragon, right? So
Yeah.
and setting the shield and playing Coral, it does sort of mitigate the ability for him to just kind of play a Lyra and start just going right for your shields, I guess.
Well, he's got at least one he's got to think twice about for sure anyway.
Mm. Mm. Yeah,
Continues to be not a whole lot happening.
yeah, I wonder. I forget. Did you have the second piercing or the second coral when you charged the piercing on turn two, or was that?
No, I didn't. I drew the
Yeah,
second core
you
isle
drew it
the
on
turn
turn
I
three. Yeah.
charged it. Yeah. I might have held the piercing otherwise if I would have had the option.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, both players just kind of sitting back, but now you have. I mean, you. Yeah. Oh yeah, your hand's really shaping up nicely.
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really.
this is
Yeah.
this is a fun one for sure.
Yeah, because Loui just, yeah, he really just bricked on fire mana. And this is also kind of the issue as well when you see that Baelgor, like, even if he was able to assemble a Herald play, the fact that he's, again, that four-color deck with dragons like Baelgor instead of just doubling down on Andromedas, like, that's something that kind of hurts his chances in this game.
Actually, even if it was like an Agorix or something here, at least he could develop it, you know?
True. But yeah, now, oh yeah, yeah, it's just very
Yeah, this
difficult.
this turn is this turn just ends the game basically right here.
Yeah, because you can, if you draw an untapped mana, you can Keo and then Lyra, and then you get to clear both his birds and drop Andromeda. You could also just
And
you could also just
yeah, that's
save it.
yeah, I ultimately decided to do that. Now that he's got all his mana unlocked, I thought, yeah, I should probably like not let him have all the reduction and Slayer dragons and all that.
Hmm. Yeah, because this is just a huge swing. I don't know. Maybe the Herald, like, or trying to get rid of the hyperspeed could be nice. But this is,
Just kind of gross.
yeah, it is just gross.
I think he even comments about it in the chat. I don't know if you have the chat up or not. I
I
do on
think
my end, but
nice one, yeah. I don't know, Louis. When you read his chats, he's got some of these like messages which they seem super genuine and like kind, but at the same time, I wonder if there's just like a bit of I don't know if it's like some like sarcastic daggers that are hidden in there or not. But it
well,
seems it seems like a genuinely nice message, but I feel like there might be some a little a little bit of a little bit of anger behind those words.
I can't say like I outskilled him this game or anything. I mean,
Yeah.
I drew the good stuff. I guess he decided not to attack with the hyperspeed, which
Hmm.
probably makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like one of his ways to maybe come back from this would be if you go aggressive and oh, both his storm sparks are gone, so that's actually really terrible for him. But if
I don't even know if
you
I noticed that at the time.
but yeah, if you try to go aggressive, maybe he has like a piercing or two in shields to delay you and finds a herald and finds like an awakened, he could potentially just kind of with that herald or sorry, with the hyperspeed in play, he could potentially swing the board back in his favor. So that was maybe an argument for even just I don't know. It seems kind of
Sat here
crazy
for a while deciding whether I should play the Lux or not. I
because
ultimately decided to do it. I figured I would protect against
mm,
pits or whatever.
yeah, like you could have played that turn previously super passively and not kill the Andromeda just to play around this hyperspeed because I think that is one of the threats that could potentially lose you the game. Like if you had just played the Keo and Lyra'd the hyperspeed, and then you could either just, and then you could also, or what am I talking about? Yeah, you could Lyra the hyperspeed, not drop the Andromeda, and then next turn play the Sky Crusher and clear the hyperspeed. Like you could have played it a little slower that way, but I don't think it's so low likelihood that something goes wrong that it's probably fine, and that might just play into like a piercing or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought getting rid of his birds gave me the best chance uh
I mean, yeah, it was an insane.
of winning.
It's an
Yeah,
insane play, but
yeah.
I don't know if you think about the ways you lose. That might be one of them, but again, it's you're in such a ridiculously good position after that swing. I mean, that was just one of the benefits of having a card like Keo, which Doesn't always look that good, to be honest. It's sort of
Oh
just
yeah,
a medium shield blast. Rarely do you actually get to pull off the insane plays, but that was one of the games where you did, and it looked pretty insane.
yeah, yep.
So yeah, I mean that game, yeah, not much to really say. Had to be feeling good after that one, hey.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, yeah. It's good to hit the high roll for sure. Yeah,
Mhm. I mean, it was
but
yeah, his draw was just not that that good, yeah. Like he didn't
he
have
had
the
the
ans.
birds, but he didn't have the in between stuff to actually,
Yeah, that's
compete
kind of
in
the
the game
problem
there.
is like you dump your birds out, kind of hoping to be the one to land Herald first and then pop off with it, but he was just missing the dragons and the tap effects to, and the Herald. Well, he had the Herald, but he was missing the mana for it. So kind of unlucky that it didn't really pan out for him. Whereas on your hand, you were missing the birds, but you had the Herald, and his draw just didn't have ways to get it off the board, and just got there. So
Yeah.
it does feel like a bit of one of those matchups where you just kind of dump your hand and see whose is better. But oh, and we can go on to game two if you
All
have it
right.
up. We'll
I'm ready.
sweet. So I'll hit play in 3, 2, 1, go. I'll give you a second so the delay catches up. So Loui drops Voleron, and this game he's got the Herald for sure, which is good to see for
Yeah,
him.
Harold Lux is good for
Yeah,
sure. My
and
hand, I'm in the position he was. I have some of the early game cards, but I don't have the mid game cards.
hmm, so you opt to. So it looks like you're trying maybe going for the Core Isle on turn 3 with this play.
Yeah,
I'm not.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if it was the good idea.
Yeah, I think I would probably just charge the Oath turn 1, turn 2, play the Lux, and then turn 3. Um, yeah, probably just charge the Core Isle or the Awakened, and then you could think about playing the Core Isle in some spots to pair with the Piercing, but I would definitely prioritize charging the Core Isle to play the Piercing with your Lux. But we'll see how it
Yeah,
plays out. 'Cause yeah,
yeah. Developing the Corral when I didn't really have to in this game, and when he did have a bird, and as it turns out, he had the fire mana this time too. I think
mm,
was not the best strategy for sure.
yeah, this game is looking really good for Louis. He's got the Herald,
He's got
and then
everything he wants.
yeah, he's got
Yep.
everything. Yeah, I think this game. I mean, he's basically just gotta hope he doesn't sort of draw a bunch of multi civs. He could think. I mean, I feel like you just have to charge the Logos and pass. You could, yeah.
Yeah.
If he draws like a second piercing, it gets really awkward. But I don't think you can really break up the combo, so to speak, by just charging the piercing to try to mitigate a multi-civ brick or something like that. And then, yeah.
Yep. I go ahead and play the Corral, which, like I said, I don't think was right,
I
but
mean, it's.
that's what I did.
I mean, now that you're in this position, it's probably reasonable. I mean, yeah, it's probably reasonable to do it now that you're in this spot, but I think like just having kept the piercing would have been better in the first place.
Yeah. I'm actually not even sure if playing. The Lux was probably right, but
Yeah, you
yeah,
could. I would want to play
I
something. Like I think the idea of like on this turn, if you had kept the piercing, you just bounce back the Herald, tap the Lux, and then just trade off. But you draw a Herald, which is nice. Well, I guess not nice in the phase of piercing, but
yeah,
yeah, because in this spot, if you had gone about it the other way, you trade off. He replays his Herald, you play your Herald, and then you're kind of just staring at each other. But you have a Finbar to come down and bounce his Herald a couple turns from now. So it's kind of an open game state rather than him dropping an awakened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Louis got to be feeling good now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that he's
Very.
got a huge control of the game. And then here's let me see what I actually do here. I'm pretty sure I messed this up as well. Yeah, I charge the fin bar because I'm an idiot.
I mean, it definitely makes sense, but yeah, I mean it makes sense given that you can't play it right now.
Yeah, but I had the Oathsworn and the Coral Shield.
Exactly.
I can play it off of the Coral, or off the
Exactly.
Oathsworn rather. Yeah.
Exactly. You can play it off the Orsworn, or if he chooses not to break it and you hit something like what's it called? Just a piercing judgment in your shields to bounce awaken back, then you can deploy the Finbar the next turn. So I think yeah, it's probably just better to have than the Sky Crusher here.
Yeah. Or even the Herald for that matter. The Herald's not doing a whole lot at this point by itself. I mean, I guess speculatively I could hope I
Well,
draw into a Lyra or something, but
I mean I do kind of like it too, just as a way. Again, depending like it's nice to have in your hand depending on what shields he breaks. Him drawing the Lyra obviously makes it look worse, but uh, so the, some of the arts. Then you were right. The Nyx is also for
yeah,
whatever reason.
I was pretty sure. I guess I forgot I drew one, but I don't didn't I knew I didn't actually play it.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I don't know. Louis' Nyx shows up, but yours doesn't, which is
Yeah, it's probably
strange.
because you guys have the same
Yeah,
package.
I don't know. Cockatrice is kind of wonky sometimes.
Oh, he doesn't actually have Dark Mana unlocked, so I guess he's got
Mm.
to charge that.
But yeah, he's looking. I mean, he's got 4 creatures in play, including an Awaken, which is brutal for your deck. So you hit. So you have the piercing, which is really good.
Yeah, that literally saved the game.
Yeah, this is
Or
where.
it actually put it into a salvageable position. It's actually still a very losable game at this point. But
But yeah, this is where like what's it called? This is where I mean the Sky Crusher will be coming in clutch. I have to imagine potentially depending on how you play it. But yeah, this is why like if he just didn't draw the Lyra and made this attack last turn, it would make the Herald look really good. But he I don't know if he makes that attack if he doesn't. But
yeah, he actually chooses to hit my Coral Shield. So
interesting,
I trigger the Oathsworn to get it to develop the Lux for free. I
interesting.
don't know if that was 100% right, but I think it made sense at the time.
There's a Coral, yeah. I mean, it lets you play the Awaken a turn earlier, I guess. And yeah, now things are looking pretty good for you. Like you still got to contest with his 5 shields, but the board sort of swung back. Ooh, the hyperspeed's kind of scary though.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
if you have another trigger here though, I mean a second Kyo would be insane, but I don't know if he attacks either.
If he attacks, I
It
don't think
seems
he does.
yeah, it seems kind of
I was so bummed out when I hit the
just
multi-civ this turn.
crazy. Ah, it's tough. But do you play it? I'd imagine you like
Yeah.
you do, right? It's just you have to.
And then he hits the
Ooh.
Storm Spark. Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, now you're in a spot where basically if you have a trigger here, you're or a blast, you're probably gonna win the game, right? Because now you just clear, unless he decides to clear both your creatures. But I have to imagine he's gonna try to go for game. And
And I have the second Clutch Blast.
yeah, yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about in the preview. I guess is like your deck is just, even if Loui takes the advantage early, the blasts in your deck really, like the types of blasts like Kyo and Arbiter compared to more like one-dimensionally kind of reactive cards like Terra Pit and Bone Blades. It feels like your deck, and Oathsworn as well. Your deck just like mitigates. It makes it really hard for him to kind of actually take the aggro and beat you down successfully. Granted, you had like, what was it, like four Shield Blasts this game, so maybe it's more of an exception than anything else. But
Two, and I put down an extra, a third one myself. But yeah.
well, it was, yeah,
Oh no,
piercing.
I had War Chief Kaya. I had three. You're right. I
Yeah,
forgot about the Kaya.
yeah, three plus the oath.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe you maybe you just ran super hot, but I could definitely see that being the advantage. And you have three Andromedas that you're still playing towards as well to just completely shut the door. And now, yeah, the game is like completely reverse.
I mean, I don't is he, oh he no is he doesn't have the fast attack double breaker at this point, or the fast attacker at all, because the Volaron's in his shields. Oh, and I missed that right away. Can't play Nyx with the
Oh yeah,
furnace out, obviously.
yeah, you
But
can't do that. And then you draw the
yeah,
Androm. But
yeah,
yeah, no,
and that's game over.
yeah, the only um, so yeah, that's definitely. I mean, it's not relevant if you kill him this turn, but he's basically down a mana that he should have in this spot.
hmm
But yeah, his only fast attack is I think Varaka.
Oh, was he running Baraka too? Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's
So
got the
he's
one
still
off.
a ways off of Baraka in either. So
Yeah, and Shade Blaze too. But yeah, he just doesn't have the triggers. But it's really difficult because he would need like a Storm Spark Blast and like yeah, I just don't think he would need like Bottle of Wishes and Storm Spark Blast.
yeah,
So yeah, he just doesn't get that.
yeah.
That's a crazy game. Wow.
I know, right? I felt like so undeserved winning it.
But yeah,
But
that's, yeah, the power of just like, I mean, the piercing judgment was insanely well timed, obviously, just to put
yeah,
back the awakened, and that's one of the issues with awakened is like it's pretty insane at just shutting out cards, but it doesn't have like that residual like it doesn't have that like defensive impact that or residual impact that Andromeda has. But
they're
yeah,
definitely very strong in different board states. If you don't have anything, Inverness is devastating because then you can't play anything.
hmm,
But Andromeda, if you do have stuff, just stops you from being able to actually win with the stuff you have. So
yeah,
they
it's
both
just
put you in bad
tricky.
positions.
Yeah, I mean, keeping the Sky Crusher was definitely good. Maybe on that one turn you could have kept Awakened over Finbar, but I don't think having the Awakened was kind of. I mean, it wasn't super relevant, I guess. It just like stopped. It killed one creature, stopped one summon. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. Probably better than. Probably for the best that you charge the Finbar, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah. I guess as it turned out, I mean, obviously didn't know I had the piercing in shields, and if I wouldn't have had that, I would have been dead to rights, no questions asked. So I don't know. Uh,
But
Giving
yeah.
myself an out to uh Infernus in some way might have been right. I don't know. But yeah, it definitely felt like that probably wasn't completely optimal on my end, but sometimes three shield blasts happen and you win the game. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just Yeah, I guess it's just hard to say how this matchup plays out because it is super swingy. Because like, you take control of the game, but then the deck has like so much. Like you have so many insane plays yourself that like one thing goes wrong out of shields, and then the game can completely turn around. So it's really hard to say. And that's why I think Andromeda is so important to have too, because it just gives you two more shields and then more potential for huge swings. But so yeah, I don't know. Maybe having the Andromeda as an extra shield blast like that just gives you. I mean, it's not like Loui doesn't have shield blast, but I don't think they're like the same kind that you have going on, if that makes sense. But I don't know. It's just one match. I think like
Yeah.
the main thing was like game two at the beginning. Maybe sequencing so you can cast a piercing doesn't let you get in that spot where you need all the shield blasts, but
Yeah.
kind of tough to
That would have
say.
given me an out to the Infernus later without having to have worried about all the other things, and also just not developing the,
I mean,
little
it just
creatures so
mean
that
I mean it just means you
Herald
wouldn't
can ruck over them.
yeah you would just wouldn't have died to Herald at all because like you just trade off Luxes and then he just replays his Herald and then I think he might be up. I forget exactly. He might be up a card or he might be like he has a little bit of board presence on you, but it's not really that bad of a situation at all. And he's got like yeah, I don't know. That could have been the better way to play it, but it ended up working out. So hard to say really. But congrats on the win, Andros, and you're moving on to the finals, I suppose. No spoilers against two, but hopefully we'll have the second round two matchup up on the channel soon as well.
It's the light water player, right?
Yeah, yeah, two light waters. So yeah, the second round is between myself and Dark
I,
Signer.
I,
So
I know. It's a dumb joke. It's all right.
yeah, no, I got you. But yeah, so you'll be playing against either myself or Dark Signer, and I think both of us would assume we're kind of the underdog in that matchup. I think the Oathsworn Skulls are just pretty scary. The last tournament, I played the Oathsworn Dragons and I beat Dark Signer in the finals, and it's almost just a run back, to be honest, of the last tournament. We'll see if
Yeah, I think I like your deck a little better. I think it's a little less scary, just only marginally. But I mean, they're definitely both threatening in a lot of the same ways. So it's
mm-hmm.
just going to be a matter of hopefully drawing as well as these two games, or having the shield blast, or drawing as well as game one, or getting the shield blast like game two, and I'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean personally, I would prefer to play against Loui more than you, to be honest. If I was rooting for someone to win, I mean obviously having you on the channel a bunch, I have to kind of root for you, but from like a selfish perspective of wanting to win the tournament, I'd hope that I could win my round and then face Loui in the finals more than anything else. But and I think the same is true for Dark Signer. I think the matchup is just much more winnable from our side when you don't have to worry about jump jets and Oathsworn call. But
Mm.
tough to say. We'll see how the rest
Yep.
of things play out.
Yep. Well, thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for offering to share the replays and join in once again. So to everyone watching, thank you, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.